afternoon, students. Myself Saurabh Chopde. I am working as assistant professor in D.Y. Patil College of Nursing. My specialty is medical surgical nursing. Today we are going to deal with the new topic, that is a BPH. BPH is nothing but the benign prostatic hypertrophy. What happens in the benign prostatic hypertrophy? It is the enlargement of the prostate gland. Because of any hormonal changes or anything, it is present in the body. Because of that, it gets the enlargement in the prostate. Because of that, it may be getting the complication of obstruction of the urine, okay, and hematuria. These are the symptoms which we can see in the BPH. Okay, today we are going to deal with the topic BPH. Okay, you can see the diagram. Okay, you can see the diagram of the BPH. This is called as a bladder. Okay, this is called as a bladder. Okay, and this is the opening. It is the opening of the urethra. Okay, and this is called as a prostate gland. Okay, where it is the opening in the bladder and the enlargement gets, and because of that it gets the compression to the urethra. Because of that the urine get retention in the bladder again. Because of that it may be having the pain in the abdomen, okay, restlessness, irritability. Okay, this is the diagram of the BPH: bladder, prostate gland and the urethra. Okay, because the compression, because of the enlargement of the prostate gland, it gets the compression in the urethra. Okay, see, next slide also is known as a benign prostatic hypertrophy. It is the hyperplasia and hypertrophy, it is the same, both it is the same, BPH. See, you can see the image on the slide, that is a normal prostate and enlargement of the prostate. Okay, you can see the bladder, okay, the urine which pass from the urethra is present. Okay, it is a normal image of the prostate gland. Okay, in the next you can see it is the enlargement of the prostate. Okay, you can see the bladder again, it is present, urine, okay, and urethra. It is a normal, but what is the abnormality is present in the diagram? You can see the enlargement of the prostate here and both the sides. Okay, you can see in the normal, it is a normal prostate. The urine passes normally through the urethra. Okay, then because of the enlargement, what happens? Where the urine comes from the urethra, because of the enlargement it gets a compression. Because of compression the urine get retention again in the bladder. It get again, because the enlargement it gets a compression. It may be a partial or it may be a complete obstruction in the urethra. Okay, you can see by the compression the urine return again in the bladder. Because of that the urine does not pass in normal condition. Okay, because of that it may be having any hematuria, means blood in the urine, it may be passed. Okay, then this is the image you can see. Next, the introduction we are going to see of the BPH. Okay, benign prostatic hyperplasia is a benign enlargement of the prostate gland. It is the enlargement of the prostate gland. In many patients older than 50 years, the prostate gland enlarged, extended upwards into the bladder and obstruction the outflow of urine by the encroaching of the vesical orifice. Means what happens above the 50 years, above the 50 years of the age, the BPH started in the men. Okay, and it may be having the obstruction in the urine. This condition is known as a benign prostatic hyperplasia. Okay, this is the condition of the hyperplasia, the enlargement or the hypertrophy of the prostate. What happens in this? The hyperplasia is nothing but it is the enlargement of the cell. It is the enlargement of the cell, and the hypertrophy, where the organ is present, what happens? It gets enlarged. Because of that, it gets the benign prostate hyperplasia, enlargement of the prostate gland. Next, it is the most common urological problem in the male adult. Means this is the most common in the male, which they are suffering from the BPH. The most common above the 50 years, it may be present BPH, or it may be a present after 8 years also, because of the hormonal changes in the body. Because of that, it can cause the BPH. See, you can see about 50% of the all men in their lifetime will develop BPH. Okay, because of the developing age or anything, the 50% the men, they are suffering from the BPH. Of these men, almost half of them will have Brotherson's lower urinary tract symptoms. Means in the male, almost they will be having the BPH in the Brotherson's, in the relatives, they are having their symptoms like a BPH. The next we are going to deal with the definition. Have you understood the introduction now? Okay. The next we are going to deal with the definition. That is the first. It is defined as a non-cancerous increase in the size of the prostate gland, which involves a hyperplasia of prostatic stromal and the epithelial cell, resulting in formation of large, fairly decrepit nodules in the transitional zone of prostate, which push on and narrow the urethra, resulting in an increased resistance of flow of urine from the bladder. Means what happens? It is a non-cancerous prostate gland, but it is an increase in the size, but it is a non-prostate. Okay, and it has the epithelial cell. Okay, and formation of a large feral decreated nodules and transitional zone. Okay, it is a enlargement of the cell. It is a non-cancerous prostate gland, and it is the prostate which push on and narrowing the urethra. Means what happens? When it gets the enlargement of the prostate, what happens? It gets upward side. Because of the enlarged, it gets upward side. Because of that, it gets the compression of the bladder opening. Because of that, it may be having the narrowing of the urethra, resulting in the increase in resistance flow of the urine from the bladder. Because of the flow of the bladder, it gets decreases because of the compression of the urethra. Okay. Next slide. Non-cancerous increase in size of the prostate gland. It is a non-cancerous, it is present, and increase in size of the prostate gland. Because of that, it can cause, which involves the hyperplasia of the prostatic stromal and epithelial cell. In the definition I have told you, the cell, it gets increase in size, or the hormonal changes or any organ which is present, it gets increased. Because of any changes, it may be having the prostate enlarged. Then resulting in formation of the large, fairly decrepit nodules in the transitional zone of the prostate. Means it is the formation. It is the formation of the prostate. Because of the hormonal change, it gets formation. It gets increase in size. Okay. Because of that, it having the nodules in the transitional zone of the prostate. Okay. Next, which push on and narrow the urethra. Okay. What happens? It gets pushed on the narrowing of the urethra. It gets pushed because of the enlargement. It gets pushed because of that the size of the urethra, it gets narrow. Okay. It gets narrow. Then because of narrowing, the urine does not pass properly as usual. Okay. Because of the enlargement of the urethra, of the enlargement of the prostate. The next is resulting in an increased residence of the flow of the urine from the bladder. Means which the flow, it should be come from the bladder, it should be a normal. Because of the enlargement of the prostate, what happens? It does not come properly because the urethra get compressed. Because of that, it may be having the problem of passing urine. Okay, the next is the incidence. Okay, you can see on the slide that is 50% of men having evidence of the BPH by age of 50 years. Okay, just now we have talked with the age, we are 40, it should be present of 50. Okay, you can see 50% above the 50 years, they are having evidence of BPH. Means they are suffering from the disease, that is a BPH above the 50 years. Then 75% by age of 8 years. Okay, majority in the old people, they are having less activity, okay, they are having not maintained their personal hygiene properly, okay, because of that also they must be having the infection to the prostate. Because of that they are having 75% of the age, means above the 80 years they are suffering from the BPH. That is the percentage, it is a 75% and 50%, okay, in the 50 years and 80 years here they are suffering from the BPH, okay. Then next it is the causes and risk factor, okay. You can see the causes and risk factor, that is a dehydrotestosterone, means that is a DHT. DHT means it is the hormonal changes. Because of that the increase in prostate gland due to the changes in the body, due to the changes in the hydrotestosterone, estrogen, okay, hormonal changes. Because of that it must be suffering from the BPH, okay, above the 50 or to 80 years, okay. In the last slide we have seen 50% or 75% they are suffering from the BPH. Next, risk factor for the prostate gland and enlargement of the uterus. Which are the risk factors are present in the prostate gland that we are going to see? First one, it is the aging. Okay, aging is nothing but the old people, those who are suffering, means above the 60, above the 80, below above the 80 they are suffering from the BPH. Aging. Prostate gland and enlargement rarely causes signs and symptoms in men younger than age of 40. About 1/3 of men experience moderate to severe symptoms by age 60 and about half to do by the age 80. Means what it does, above the younger age 40, means above the 40 they are suffering from the BPH due to the any hormonal changes or any infection, they are not maintaining personality. Because of that also they are above the age of the 40 years. Then next you can see 1/3, okay. You can see 1/3 of the men experience moderate to severe symptoms, okay. In the 1/3 what happens, they are moderate in the severe symptoms, okay. Because of the any severe symptoms they are having, because of that they are suffering from the BPH. And the age of 60 and age of 80 and about the half to do, means about the half to do it is a 80% of the age they are suffering from the BPH. And the 60 it is a 1/3 they are suffering from the BPH. Then next it is a family history, okay. In the family history, for example, you are taking the, means if the client came in the hospital, you are taking the family history, okay. In the family history you are going to take the past history, present history, yes or no. In that all things you are going to see the collection which he has suffering from any disease condition or any heredity he must be having in the family member. All things you are going to check. Like that only in the family history, having a blood relatives such as a father or brother with prostate problem means more likely to have a problem. Means in the family member only, like a heredity from the father, mother, it's come into the children, yes or no. Means like this heredity is passed from the one generation to the another generation. Because of the prostate problem they are suffering from the having any problem like a BPH in the family history. Then next, thickening background. Thickening background is nothing but the prostate enlargement is less common in Asian men than in white and black men. Means in India there are less people who is suffering from the BPH, okay, but they are more prone in the America. Why? Because the activity, the hormonal changes, their diet, because of that they are having more early development of the lifestyle. Because of that they are suffering from the BPH more in the America than the India, okay. The next slide, it is a diabetes and heart disease, okay. Diabetes and the heart disease. Studies show that diabetes as well as heart disease and use of beta blockers might increase to risk of BPH. Why beta blocker? It is a might risk for the BPH because it is a steroid, it is a high dose or anything drugs which we are going to provide to the client. But he is having the diabetic or he must be having any heart disease. For that person, for that client, it is having the more high risk for the person who is having the BPH. For that purpose, we are going to check the doctor's order before we are going to give the medication like beta blockers or medication which is having the steroid, etc. Okay, this is the diabetes and the heart disease. Then next it is a lifestyle. Now only I have told you, in the India the lifestyle it is different, and in the America it having the different lifestyle which we are using daily. Yes or no? Means in the American, just now I told you, in the American they are having different diet, different activity, different developing the body posture. In the America is having different because they are having the more fast developing hormones in their body. Because of that they are having their lifestyle changes. For example, obesity. Okay, in the obesity the fatty food or high protein diet, high etc. diet they are eating. Because of that they are having the obesity. Because of that also it may be having the high risk in the BPH. Obesity increases the risk of BPH. Because of the obesity, because of the high weight, they are having the BPH in the client. Then for that purpose we are going to do the exercise can lower the your risk. Means if you are sitting in one place, for example, you are doing only same activity daily routine, you are going to sit in the one place, nothing you are going to do, nothing you are going to do the exercise or anything. Because of that also you may increase the obesity, you may increase the weight in your body. Because of the increasing of the weight, the hormonal changes will be present. Yes or no? Then because of the hormonal changes, what happens? It gets effects on the BPH. Because of that, he must be having the diagnosis of the BPH because of the obesity. Because of the he is not doing the exercise, because of he is not doing the activity in daily life, he is sitting on the one place. Because of that, he must be having the obesity and he must be having the high risk of the BPH. Okay, that is a lifestyle. It depends on your lifestyle. What is your work and what you are going to do in the daily living activity. Then next, it is a clinical manifestation. Okay, clinical manifestation is nothing but it is a sign and symptoms. Sign and symptoms. When, for example, if the patient came in the casualty or in the hospital, you are going to take history collection, physical examination you are going to do. Okay, then this all things you are going to see the signs. You are going to see by your open naked eyes. What are the signs are present in the client? You might be seeing. You can see the normal person and you can see the disease condition who is suffering from the BPH. Yes or no? In that you are going to see the different signs will be present. Yes or no? If the normal client will be present, what happens? He will stay normal activity he will do. But the different means who is suffering from the disease condition, that is a BPH. He must be having the sign symptom differences. No, he must be having abdomen pain. He must be having difficulty in passing urine. He must be having blood in the urine. Okay, you can see. For after the sign and symptoms, you must be having the diagnosed superficial that he must be having the kidney disease, or he must be having the filter of the urine is not properly. Because of that also he must be having in this condition. Okay, then in the BPH the sign and symptoms are different. That we are going to see, that is a hesitancy is the starting urination. Means he get hesitate to start the urination. He must be having difficulty passing urine. Yes or no? Then increase frequency of urination. It get increase the frequency of urination because which the filtration of the urine, it comes from the kidney. It's filtered and it's coming to the bladder. Yes or no? What happens? Increase frequency of urination. It get increases. What? The urine which comes in the bladder, it's get full bladder. Okay, then because of that it gets an increased frequency of the urination. Then next it is a nocturia. Nocturia is nothing but it is having the passing difficulty in the urine. Urgency. Okay, must be passed in the urine in urgent way. He should pass the urine because of the fullness of the bladder. Then abdominal steering, means just now I told you the abdominal pain will be present, okay, because of not properly passing the urine. The client must be having the urine difficulty, okay, abdominal pain may be present. Then decrease in volume and force of urinary stream, okay, because the urine is not passing from the urethra properly, it get decrease in the volume of the force, okay, the forcefully the urine does not pass properly because of the urinary stream, because of the compression, okay. The next, interruption of the urinary stream, means it gets the interruption. How does it get the interruption? Because of the enlargement of the prostate, what happened? It gets a compression. Means it get interrupt. Because of the prostate, what happens? It get interrupt into the urethra because of the compression. Okay. Then dribbling. Dribbling means passing the urine normally. Normally it gets passing the urine. Few minutes we go for the washroom to pass the urine. Then next it is a sensation of incomplete emptying of the bladder, okay, sensation and incomplete emptying the bladder, means he gets a sensation, okay. For example, when you are going to pass urine, it gets the sensation to the bladder, okay, now I am to pass the urine, it gets a sensation and incomplete emptying of the bladder, means when you are going to go for the washroom, then you are going to pass urine, then again you are going to come, but you are having the sensation that I want to go again for the urination, okay, because it is passed incomplete. Because of it incomplete, we are having the sensation that urine is present, is not empty properly of the bladder, okay. Next, acute urinary retention more than 60 ml. Okay, acute is nothing but it is a short duration. Okay, it is a short duration, that is a urinary retention more than 60 ml does not pass properly, get retention again for that acute urinary retention for short duration. Then recurrent UTI. Okay, UTI is nothing but the full form of urinary tract infection. That's all. Because of the urinary tract infection, it will be having the infection to the bladder or the prostate. Then fatigue. Okay, because of the disease condition, the client must be having fatigue, stress, or any tension. Okay, anorexia, difficulty of passing urination or anything. As on this may be present signs symptoms in the client. The next sign symptoms it is a nausea and vomiting. Because of the patient must be having the infection to the bladder, or must be having the prostate gland, it gets the infection. Because of that, the client must be having the fever, chills, etc. Because of that, we must be having the nausea and vomiting. Then pelvic discomfort and pain. Why pelvic discomfort and pain? Because it is present in the bladder, pain it is present. Okay, because of that does not pass urine properly. Because of that, it present the pelvic discomfort, and because of that pelvic discomfort, what happens? It is having the pain in the abdomen, in the pain. Okay. Then ultimately azotemia. It will be present in the clinical features. Then renal failure result with chronic urinary retention and large residual volume. Okay. Chronic is nothing but it is for a long duration. It is a long duration. It is a renal failure. Okay. It is a renal failure result with the chronic urinary retention and large residual volume, which the large residual volume it is present. What happens? Because of the renal failure, it may be present for long duration. The volume get decreases because of the disease condition of the renal failure. It will be present for long duration. Okay. Then blood in the urine. Blood in the urine is nothing but it is called as a hematuria. Blood in the urine. Okay, red color of the urine, if the present in the client when passing the urine, this reddish color, it is called as the hematuria. That is the blood in the urine. Okay, these are the clinical manifestation which we have dealt. Then next slide, it is the assessment and the diagnostic method. Okay, for example, if The patient came in the clinical or in the hospital or in the casualty. What all things you are going to assessment? All from head to toe you are going to assessment the client. What is the problem? What all things are needed? How you are going to collect the history? How you are going to maintain the two-way communication with the client? How you are going to tell the client talk freely with us to diagnose properly? Yes or no? These all things you are going to see the assessment and the diagnostic method. Okay, first it is a history collection. Okay, in the history collection you are going to check past history, present history. Okay, any surgical history, any medical history. These all things you are going to collect the history from the first. Okay. The next physical examination. Okay, then you are going to check the physical examination from head to toe. What is the abnormality present? What are the signs and symptoms is present? Or how pain is having from severe, moderate, or mild, severe. These all things you are going to see in the physical examination. Okay. Then next it is a urine analysis to screen for hematuria and UTI. Means you are going to check the urine culture test. You are going to send for the lab. Okay, in the lab you are going to send urine analysis for the hematuria and UTI. Hematuria, I have told you, is nothing but it is a present in the blood in the urine. That is called as a hematuria. Okay, and UTI, urine tract infection. Because of the urine tract infection, the client was having the hematuria because of lack of the water in the body, is not drinking properly. Because of that also it can cause the hematuria. Okay, because of not kidney providing, means kidney is not filtering proper urine. Because of that also it must be having this condition. Okay. Next, prostate specific antigen, that is PSA. Okay, it is a level is obtained if the patient has at least a 10 years life expectancy and for whom knowledge of presence of the prostate cancer could change management. Means there is the PSA, prostate specific antigen is given to the client. Okay, at least 10 years. Okay, because of that he must make any changes in the management of the BPH. That is a prostate specific antigen, that is a PSA. Next, it is a urinary flow rate recording and the measurement of the post-award residual urine. Means it is a nothing but it is a PVR, post residual urine. Okay, after passing the urine, what is the post residual urine? How the flow of the rate of the recording of the urine it should be maintained. Okay, for example, if the patient is bred and he is suffering from the BPH or anything, the urine collection, urine bag, you are going to see how much urine is passed. Calculate, you are going to do how much urine for daily going to pass. Okay, that all things you are going to check. Means post residual urine, the flow of the rate of the urine. Then urodynamic study. Urodynamic study means it is related to the uro, means urethra, means in the bladder. You are going to do the study why the urine get decreases or increases. This all things you are going to do in the urodynamic study. Then next it is the urethrocystoscope. Urethrocystoscope is nothing but the means you are going to put the scope through the urethra, through the penis, to see any obstruction or any foreign body or anything or stone may be present, why the urine is not passing properly. For that purpose, you are going to see where the obstruction is present. That time you are going to use the urethrocystoscope. You are going to put the cystoscope in the through the penis, through the urethra, to see any blockage or any abnormality it is present. Then ultrasound. Ultrasound as usual. If the patient came in the hospital or in the casualty, you might be seeing the client is complaining, I am having abdomen pain. Yes or no? First, what reference you are going to give? You are going to give to the client, that is a UHG, that is a ultrasound, sonography, to see the abnormality which is present in the abdomen. For that purpose, you are going to do the UHG. Okay. Then next, complete blood study, including closing study. Means complete blood count. Okay, lab test, all things you are going to check in the urinary. Okay. That is the assessment and the diagnostic management which we have seen now. Then next slide, it is the medical management. Okay, in the medical management, the treatment plan depend on the cause, severity and obstruction and condition of the patient. Treatment measure include the following. Means I can depend on the severity. Means it depend on the severity of the sign symptom. It depends on the severity of the causes. Okay, it depends on the condition of the client, which you are going to give the treatment to the client. From he must be severe, mild, moderate. Yes or no? According to depend on the pain, you are going to give that treatment. According to the doctor's order, you are going to provide the medication and treatment to the client. First one, immediate catheterization if patient cannot avoid, and urologist may be concerned if an ordinary catheter cannot be inserted. Means if the patient is having any severe problem of passing urine, yes or no? Okay, after giving the medication or anything, it's not decreasing the pain or urine is not passing properly. For that purpose, you are going to put immediate catheterization. Okay, after the catheterization, immediate, which the urine is present in the bladder, it pass from the catheter and it may be having the client relief from the pain, from the abdomen pain. Okay, this is the immediate catheter you are going to put through the urethra to pass the urine properly. Okay, the next, second one, a suprapubic cystotomy is sometimes necessary. Means tomy means any removal of the part, okay, from the body. Okay, cystotomy, that is a suprapubic. You are going to remove sometimes if necessary. If necessary, you are going to do the cystostomy. Okay, removal of the part or any organ. Third, watchful waiting to measure disease progression. Means you are going to watchful waiting means you are going to monitor the disease condition properly. Okay, and what is the progress the client is having after putting the catheterization or after giving the medication. The client is progressive, slowly or immediately. These all things you are going to watchful waiting. You means you are going to monitor the client properly. Okay. Then next, pharmacology management. Means pharmacology, it is nothing but it is related to drugs. It is related to the drugs. Okay, there are some few drugs which we are going to give to the client. That is the alpha blocker, alpha reductase inhibitor, and combination of the both. Okay, first one it is the alpha blocker. Okay, alpha blocker. This medication relax bladder, neck, muscle and muscle fiber in the prostate, making urination easier. Means after giving this alpha blocker, what happens? It gets the relax of the bladder next. Means in the second slide I will show you the image where the bladder is present. Okay, in the opening of the bladder there is a prostate gland. What happens? It gets a relaxed bladder, neck and muscles. Which are the muscles are present in the bladder, neck? What happens? That gets relaxed, and that the muscles fibers in the prostate making urination. Means the relaxation of the muscle and muscles fiber which are present in the opening of the bladder. What happens? It gets the prostate making urinary easy. Means after giving this alpha blocker, what happens? The relaxation of the muscles and fibers it gets and it pass properly urine from the bladder. Okay, this after giving this alpha blockers. Okay. Second, for alpha reductase inhibitors. Okay, what it does? This medication, after giving this medication, shrink prostate and preventing hormonal changes. Okay, what it does? It gets shrinkness. It gets shrink of the prostate and preventing hormonal changes. Means it preventing the hormonal changes by giving the alpha reductase inhibitor. After this giving medication, it gets a shrinkness of the size of the prostate and it prevents the hormonal changes. It prevents the hormonal changes that causes the prostate growth. Which the growth is get increased. What happens after giving 5-alpha reductase inhibitor? It gets the shrinkness of the prostate. Because of that, it does not grow properly of the prostate and it prevents the hormonal changes. Okay. Next, combination drug therapy. Okay. First, alpha blockers. Second, 5-alpha reductase inhibitor. These are the two medications. After that, this is the combination of the drug therapy. Means, after giving this drug, doctor might recommend taking an alpha blocker and a 5-alpha reductase inhibitor at the same time if either medication alone is not effective. Means, if you are going to give one medication, that is a alpha blocker, what it does? It gets the relaxation of the muscles, it gets the relaxation of the muscle fibers. Okay, that is the first part. Second, what happens? It's shrinkness. Okay, if I give 5-alpha reductase inhibitor, it gets shrinkness of the prostate gland. What it does? It gets shrinkness and it prevents the hormonal changes. Okay, it's a different medication and different use of the drugs. And what happens in this combination? If you are going to give both alpha reductase inhibitor, alpha blocker and 5-alpha reductase inhibitor, what it does? It gets the effective. It is more effective and it gets relaxed to the client. By giving this both combination, it gets a relaxation to the client. Okay. Then next it is the tadalafil cilias. Okay, tadalafil cilias is nothing but the studies suggest this medication, which is often used to treat erectile dysfunction, can also treat prostate enlargement. Means it may be a present erectile, it may be a present dysfunctioning in this medication, and it may be having the. However, this medication is not routinely used for BPH. See, this medication is not routinely used for the BPH. It is the SOS, means if it is needed, then you are going to provide the tadalafil cilias. Okay. Then next it is a surgical management. Okay. In the surgical management, there are 2 points: minimally invasive therapy and second, invasive therapy. These are the 2 types points which we are going to see in the management. Okay, minimally invasive therapy. Minimally invasive therapy are becoming more common as an alternative to watchful waiting and invasive treatment. They generally do not require hospitalization, catheterization. Means in this condition, they does not require hospitalization and catheterization in this minimally invasive therapy. Means you are going to watchful waiting. Means you are going to observe the client which is having the therapy, undergoing therapy. He does not need required hospitalization and catheterization. In that, it has a 6 points for the transurethral microwave thermotherapy, transurethral needle ablation, and laser prostatectomy. For photo vaporization and interstitial laser coagulation and intraprostatic urethral stents. These are the 6 points which we are going to deal. First one is the transurethral microwave therapy. Means this is a surgical treatment which we are going to use in the BPH. That is the TUMT. It is nothing but the transurethral microwave thermotherapy. It is an outpatient procedure that involves the delivery of the microwave directly to the prostate through a transurethral probe to rise the temperature of the prostate tissue to about 113 degree Fahrenheit to 45 degrees Celsius. The heat causes death of the tissue, thus relieve the obstruction. Means what it is in the transurethral microwave therapy? It is a heat and causes death of the tissue. Okay, this is the process. It causes the heat of the death of the tissue. Its temperature, it should be a present 113 degree Fahrenheit to 45 degrees Celsius to treat the BPH. A rectal temperature probe is used during the procedure to ensure that the temperature is kept below 110 degree Fahrenheit to 43.5 degree Fahrenheit Celsius to prevent the rectal tissue damage. Means in the diagnostic test, you are going to do the rectal examination to see how many the enlargement of the prostate is present. Okay, the rectal temperature probe is used during the procedure to ensure that the temperature is kept below 110 degree Fahrenheit. Means the temperature, it should be present below the 110 degree Fahrenheit. Okay, to prevent the rectal tissue damage. For this, you are going to ensure that the temperature should be 110 degree Fahrenheit. The procedure takes about 90 minutes. Post-operative urine retention is a common complication. Means 90 minutes the procedure, it should be a take. Okay, the patients generally sent home within the 2 to 7 days before maintain the urine flow. Okay. Then antibiotics are going to provide, pain medication as per doctor's order, how the tolerance is present. Okay. Then the procedure is not appropriate from the men with rectal problem. Means if having any rectal problem, that the doctor procedure are going to give till the 10 days before treatment. Okay. Second, transurethral needle ablation. Okay. That is a TUNA. This is a procedure which is used in the radio frequency use. Okay, low wave and radio frequency use to direct the contact with the needle. Means it is a needle which is present. Through that you are going to remove the prostate. Okay, the extent of the tissue removed by this procedure determined by the amount of the tissue contact. Means this is the needle length, which how many needle length should be present to insert from the penis to remove the prostate. Okay, and how many duration it should be needed to deliver. Okay, the amount of the prostate. Okay, extent of the tissue removal means removal of the tissue, that is the through the needle length. This procedure is performed in an outpatient physician. Means it is depend on the outpatient department patient, that is a TUNI procedure. Approximately it should be a 30-minute procedure should be there to removal of the prostate. Then complication. The complication, it may be present, for example, frequency urination, dysuria. It may be a complication. Okay, and patient often having hematuria. These are the symptoms which we are going to see. Frequency of urination, dysuria. Example, it is given. Okay. Then laser prostatectomy. In the laser prostatectomy, that is a TURP. Okay. Through the laser, you are going to remove the prostate if it is enlargement of the prostate gland. Fourth one, it is photoevaporation. Photoevaporation, there is a high power grade laser light. It is like a rays. It is like a rays that through the chemotherapy it is given, it is removed. Okay. Then interstitial laser coagulation. Okay, this is a procedure to use the cystoscope which we are going to provide through the penis and area of the enlargement which we are going to see where the enlargement is coming and going to go. The next is the intraprostatic urethral stents. Means you are going to put the stent in the body through the penis and you can remove the prostate gland from the gland. Okay, that is a chronic pain will be present, infection and the erection. Okay. Then invasive therapy. Invasive therapy is nothing but it is involves a surgery. It depends on the size of the location. It depends on the size of the location, how the size is present. Through that you are going to remove the prostate gland from the penis. Okay, through the urethra. You can see the image, prostate, it is present, here the prostate is present. Okay, prostate tissue and removal. The incision of the cystoscope, which is inserted through the, it is removal of the prostate through the cystoscope, okay, inserted through the penis. Then TURP has a long been considered the gold standard for the surgical treatment for obstruction repair. If any obstruction is present, it is having the long been consideration to the gold standard to removal of the prostate from the body. Then the outcome of the 80% to 90% patient excellent with marked improving in the symptoms of the urinary flow rates. The urinary flow of the rates, it should be prepared properly. The outcome of it should be 80% to 90% of patient excellent. It should be properly pass the urine. Then post-operative complications include bleeding. You can see there is a bleeding, clot, retention, dilation and hypothermia. Okay. Hyperthermia and associated with the irrigation. This all the complication will be present in the client. Second, transurethral incision of the prostate is nothing but the, it may be a present through the under the local anesthesia in the main, moderate and severe. It may be a moderate, it may be severe. Through that you are going to go under the anesthesia, that is a local anesthesia. And small incision you are going to take, through that you are going to remove the prostate into the prostate gland, and which relieve the pressure from the urethra and improve the urine flow. Because of the removal of the prostate or incision is taken, through that the urine may be passed properly through the urethra and the client may be feel comfort. Okay, TUIP is an option for patients with a small and moderate enlarged prostate gland. It is an optional. It may be having a similar patient outcome to TURP in relieving the symptoms. Means which the symptoms may be having in the client. It may be relieving after removing the surgical. Then last one, it is a nursing management. Okay, in the nursing management, what are we going to see? The history of avoiding patient. Okay, the urine properly pressure is present or not, dysuria is present, urgency, sensation, bladder emptying properly or not. This all things you are going to see in the nursing management. Then perform rectal. Okay, means you are going to do the abdominal examination to the detect distension bladder, decrease of the prostate enlargement. How the enlargement is present, how the detection is present, you are going to see. Then measure of the uroflowmetry and the measure of the post-aortic residual injection. Means post-aortic residual is nothing but the what the volume is present of the urine, that you are going to check. Then patient education and the health maintenance. Means you are going to provide health education to the client. Okay, explain undergoing treatment, which are the treatment is present, symptoms, what are the symptoms are present. Then retention, cyst size, increase in the irritative, okay, and avoiding symptoms. Which all things you are going to give the health maintenance to the client. Then advise patient with BPH to avoid certain drugs. Means there are some certain drugs which you are going to give to the clients, that you are going to provide as per the doctor's order. Advise patient that irritative avoiding symptoms do not immediately resolve after relief of obstruction. Means after relieving the obstruction, there are some symptoms diminish over the time. After some time, the symptoms which are present in the client, that get decreases after the irritative avoiding symptoms. Then tell patient post-operatively to avoid sexual intercourse, starting at stool, having lifting and lock. Means give the health education to the client that provide the sexual intercourse after the BPH, after the surgery. Okay, and the period of heavy lifting or any activity, that it should be avoid. Advise follow to the visit. Tell the patient to follow the visit after the 15 days or 10 days to check up properly. Then after this all things, you are going to check the complications. Okay, after this all things, what will be complication will be present? Acute urinary retention, involuntary bladder contractions, bladder diverticular cystolithiasis and vesico-urethral reflex. This all things, the complication will be present. Hydroureter, hydronephrosis, gross hematuria and UTI, that is a urinary tract infection. This complication may be present. Okay, have you understood all of you? Any doubts? Okay, then summarize. These all things we have seen: the introduction, definition, incidents, causes, clinical manifestation, diagnostic evaluation, management, medical management, surgical management, nursing management, and complication. These all things we have seen in the BPH. Okay, thank you.